there. Welcome to the College Basketball Bracket Science podcast sponsored by Fanatics. I'm Brandon Jadich. Appreciate everyone for being here. Hopefully, if that means you're here, hopefully that means your bracket isn't busted yet because you're still invested in college basketball. That's what we love to see. We appreciate you everydayers for giving us a listen. Also appreciate everyone new for coming in. If you're new, go down, smash the subscribe button, smash the like button. We really appreciate it. If you're listening on audio, really encourage you give us a watch on YouTube if you haven't already as well. As we pull up graphics now, we have all the graphics coming up. We talk about everything, or we show everything that we're saying. It's pretty cool graphics on YouTube. If you're on YouTube and you're on the go, give us a follow on audio as well on Apple or Spotify. Google Podcasts going away within a couple days, so give us a follow on Apple or Spotify so you can stay up to date on your college basketball content. What we're going to do today, we're going to talk about some of the Thursday results, some of Friday's results, and then some games to watch. Along with, in the middle, we're going to talk about how some of the conferences are faring, how some of the big upsets are going to play out, who the biggest upsets were in terms of betting lines, and then just interesting little stuff like that. We're going to dive right into it. We're going to go in order of highest seeded teams to win, down to just some one seeds, that one. But we're going to go day by day. So like we're going to start right now. We're going to start on Thursday. We're going to start with number 14, Oakland, getting the highest seeded win of the week over number 3, Kentucky, 82-76. Jack Golke made a legend of himself, 32 points, 10 of 20 shooting from the field, 10 of 20 shooting from three. Incredible game for Jack Golke. Transfer from Nova Southeastern, became a legend overnight. Trey Townsend, we also got to throw him out for Oakland. He had 17 points, 12 rebounds. He is their best player, but Jack Golke was the story in this game. Oakland's coach, Greg Kampe, he's the longest tenured coach in the country right now. He's done an absolutely phenomenal job. Obviously, just a very likable guy. Great stuff. Antonio Reeves, he led Kentucky with his experience. He led with 27 points. Story was the freshman, though, as we seem to see every year with Kentucky. Reed Shepherd, the maybe projected number 1 overall pick, didn't play well, 1 for 5, only 3 points. Rob Dillingham, 2 for 9 from the field. DJ Wagner was even worse, 0 for 5 from the field with 0 points. The Calipari haters are out in full force. A lot of people calling for his head. It would be, I'm not going to disagree that I don't think he's doing the greatest job, but it would be a significant buyout. So something to keep in mind there. I wouldn't be shocked if they moved on. I don't think they're going to, but we'll see going forward. Let's keep moving through these. On Thursday, we also had some 11-over-6 upsets. In fact, we went 3 for 3 on them. Starting with Oregon over South Carolina, it ended up being kind of a pick'em game because it was just a horrible draw for South Carolina. Oregon just coming in, winning the Pac-12 tournament, and Oregon, as healthy as they are right now, they are way too talented for an 11 seed. Jermaine Couisnard, the story though, 40 points against his former team. He played 4 years at South Carolina and went and dropped 40 on him in the tournament. Yikes. This was the most points scored since Carson Edwards' historic game for Purdue a couple years back. And Fale Dante also scored 23. He's just a huge piece, obviously. Michi Johnson for South Carolina was their leader, 24 points, 4 threes. But South Carolina, just a rough draw for them, unfortunately. Oregon has the talent to make a little run. Great job for Lamont Paris in this season. They were not even supposed to be in March Madness, and they're here as a 6 seed. Yes, they lost. Still nothing to hang their heads on. Good year for Oregon. Dana Altman just refuses to lose in the first round. So good stuff there. Moving on, NC State continued their dominating run, beating Texas Tech 82-67, another 11-over-6. Just dominated the entire way. It was all NC State. Grant McCasland is an incredible coach for Texas Tech. He won the NIT last year with North Texas, got into a 6 seed this year. Team's just not that talented, unfortunately. NC State is. Ben Middlebrooks led NC State, 21 points off the bench. Mohamed Diarra added 17 points, 12 rebounds. And then the DJs, DJ Byrne and DJ Horn, they both added 16 points apiece. So good win for NC State. They're rolling right now. The biggest upset in terms of betting line of the 3 was Duquesne over BYU. Duquesne came in as 9.5-point favorites. I should mention, by the way, just going all out of order here. Oakland was 14-point underdogs to Kentucky and won that game. Duquesne, though, 9.5-point underdogs, beat BYU 71-67. Keith Damrot, this is his first tournament win, and this is his last year. He gets to coach for one more game at least. Congrats to Keith Damrot on a great career. Obviously, Coach LeBron back in the day. Day Grant is a name that everyone should get to know. He led Duquesne with 19 points. Jackson Robinson, he led BYU, kind of brought him back into it. He had 25 points off the bench. Just your current case of computer trickers is BYU. They were the number one overall team in the net when the net first came out this year. They've been high at Ken Pom. They've been high at Torvik all year. They just aren't that talented, quite frankly. They had a great year. They did well in the Big 12. They weren't supposed to do that well. There's a reason they weren't supposed to do that well, and we saw it here. Weird little story going on with BYU is they were supposed to be the 5 seed actually and would have taken on BYU, but their religious beliefs didn't allow them to play at that certain time. So ended up being the 6 seed, had to play Duquesne instead of UAB, and ended up losing. So would the story been different? We don't know, but we'll talk about UAB here in a little bit. The game that led us off and knocked off about half perfect brackets, Michigan State beat Mississippi State in a 9-8 game, 69-51. When am I going to learn to not bet against Tom Izzo in March? I took Mississippi State for what reason? As soon as the game started and Michigan State went on a run, I'm like, I watched Mississippi State so much this year. They're not good. They beat Tennessee once, and that made me bought in again. Bad pick. Bad pick. I take full responsibility for that one. It was an ugly game. Michigan State was just better. Mississippi State has no offense outside of Josh Hubbard. Josh Hubbard is a good player. He was the only player in double figures, actually, but a Michigan State just so much better. Akins, Hall, Tyson Walker, and Hogard, they're just better. Mississippi State, I think if they didn't even beat Tennessee by 20 in that SEC tournament, there was a real case that like this team didn't even deserve to be in the tournament. They hadn't done anything outside of beating Tennessee twice this year, and it showed here. Michigan State just much better. Disappointing stuff for Mississippi State, but Michigan State moves on. And then the 10th seed Nevada took on 7 seed Dayton. We have to talk about this game. This was the best game that I saw in the first round matchups. This was the most fun game to watch. Nevada led 56-39 with 7 minutes left. Dayton won the game 63-60. Do the math. Dayton finished on a 24-4 run to end this game. The 3-point shooting of Dayton and their speed is a reason that they got up to in the teens in the AP poll early in the year. They've fallen off as of late. They got the 3 seed in the A10 tournament, but they have the capabilities of making a run with their defense and their shooting. They come down and they just fire threes, and when they're hitting, they can go on 24-4 runs. When they're not, they can go down 56-39. As we saw in this game, it was an incredible comeback. The crowd was electric. Incredible comeback. The only thing that wasn't electric was the announcers. I don't know who had this game, but they were just watching it nonchalantly, talking, yeah, Durant Holmes scores again. I was like, we're in the midst of some crazy March Madness here. It was kind of just a boring job, but it was an incredible game to watch. If you tuned into that game, it was well worth it. Another 7 seed beating a 10 seed was Washington State beating Drake. Drake was actually favored in the game, and they actually led a lot of the way, but it remained close. And then Miles Rice just took over, won the game. Kyle Smith and Miles Rice, their story continues. It's a great thing going on there. Miles Rice and his Hodgkin's lymphoma, excuse me, and Kyle Smith, just incredible job there coaching wise. Moving on, Texas beat Colorado State 56-44. Not much to talk about in this game. It was just all Texas because Colorado State scored 11 points in the first half. 11 points in 20 minutes. Colorado State held Virginia to what was it? It was 42 points? Yeah, 67-42. Held them to 42 points. Now they did Virginia of their own and scored 44 against Texas. So Mountain West kind of struggling a little bit. We'll talk about them here in a little bit, but Texas moves on. McNeese got drilled by Gonzaga 86-65. Their talent was just not there compared to Gonzaga's. They had a great year, but that Southland Conference just doesn't prepare you for something like Gonzaga. And then we are going to talk about that Samford-Kansas game. Kansas won the game 93-89, 4 over 13. That wasn't the story. Kansas led by 22 in the second half. Samford fights all the way back, proves so much heart. There was a last second block on Nick Timberlake. They called it a foul. I'm sure everyone's seen the video. It was ridiculous, but I'll go through it. There was like 20 to 30 seconds left. Kansas up one. They go over the top. Obviously, Samford's going to foul. They go over the top to Nick Timberlake. Nick Timberlake goes up for a dunk. I don't even know who it was on Samford, but he made a great play. Didn't knock the body, got all ball. I mean, wasn't even close to smacking an arm. They called a foul. Timberlake knocks down the free throws, just completely changes the game. They would have had numbers. Timberlake was down. Samford would have had 5-on-4 to take the lead, potentially win the game, hold for the last shot. Instead, Timberlake kind of just put the game. I mean, he put it to a 3-point game, and then that's asking a lot for Samford. It was a block. It was clean. The Kansas haters are out in full force. And quite frankly, I mean, I'm wearing a Kansas shirt right now. Kansas should not have won that. You can't say they shouldn't have won the game because you never know. Maybe Samford doesn't score when they come down, but this play just kind of sealed a win for Kansas. Hunter Dickinson did have a great game. We have to throw that in. 19 points, 20 rebounds. Kansas will play Gonzaga next round. I don't think Kansas can be able to get it done without Kevin McCullough. They barely beat Samford, and they actually looked good for a while outside of Elmarco Jackson. Nick Timberlake is streaky. He can be okay. Elmarco Jackson coming off the bench, though, as your first option is just horrible. He comes in. As soon as he comes in, he just starts turning the ball over. So I expect Gonzaga to handle Kansas pretty well. Moving on, the 14 seed Morehead State got beat by Illinois 85-69. Morehead State actually kept it close for a while, but it was all Terrence Shannon, Illinois in the second half. 14 seeded Akron lost to Creighton 77-60. Akron also kind of kept it close for a while, but then it was just Creighton in the second half. Then some 2 15 seed games. Iowa State beat South Dakota State 82-65. Arizona won over Long Beach State 85-65. That game was closer than you think. It was close for a while, and then Arizona just beat up on them on the second half. Long Beach State actually led late in the first half, kind of brought up some harsh memories from last year, but Arizona ended up winning the game. And then Tennessee beat St. Peter's 83-49, nothing special there. And then North Carolina in the 1-16 matchup over Wagner beat them 90-62. Wagner won a game in March Madness. Good for them. No match for North Carolina, though. Let's move into Friday. We're currently recording this early Saturday morning, so this was Friday night, or Friday during the day, I guess. It was all day. Starting, we're going to go down in order still of the higher seeds that won. Yale beat Auburn 78-76. This was the surprising one. This was the big one. John Poulikitis, 28 points, 6 of 9 from 3, killed Auburn's hopes. Auburn was a popular pick to win the national championship, to beat UConn, to make the championship game, make the Final Four. Oh no, Yale had something to say about that. The free throws down the stretch just killed Auburn. This makes it a much easier road for UConn. I mean, if it was a best of 7 series, I fully expect Auburn to beat Yale, but that's the beauty of March Madness. It's one game. Yale beat them. Make stuff a little bit easier for UConn. UConn kind of built out. They don't have to play that talented FAU team. They don't have to play Auburn in the round after that. We'll talk about that FAU game here in a little bit, but UConn their path is clearing up a little bit. We had a couple 12/5 wins. Grand Canyon beat St. Mary's. This was the most surprising one, I thought, in the 12/5 games. Not because Grand Canyon isn't good. Grand Canyon is good. We know that. But St. Mary's had been just absolutely rolling. They were one of the hottest teams in the country. Won the WCC tournament. They only lost one game in conference play. They've been blazing hot, but Grand Canyon, Tyon Grant Foster led the team, 22 points out of the WAC 12 seed. Good stuff for Grand Canyon. Moving on. The other 12 seed to beat the 5 seed, James Madison, 72, Wisconsin, 61. This game was just all James Madison. They led by 13 in the first half. You can say this is an upset. It was 12/5. I don't think this was an upset. It was just James Madison is a better basketball team. I 100% agree that James Madison currently has 32 wins. Wisconsin kind of got back on people's radars by beating Purdue, getting to the Big Ten championship game, but they're still just not that good. James Madison, I fell into the trap right away. I took Wisconsin to beat James Madison, then to beat Duke, and then I came to my senses and I'm like, it's still Wisconsin. Ended up switching it to James Madison. Thank God I did, because it was evident that James Madison was just the better basketball team in this scenario. The last double-digit seed team to win was Colorado taking down Florida 102 to 100. Yes, 102 to 100. Absolute shootout. This game ended in regulation, even though the score was this high, but it ended in regulation thanks to a KJ Simpson last-second shot. Wasn't a buzzer beater. There was about a second or two left, but it was an incredible shot, just rattled around, somehow went in to move Colorado on to the next round. Got a lot of questions on the buzzer beater bets. I've been seeing those on FanDuel and DraftKings. They obviously had a thing where is there a buzzer beater to it? The game has to end right there. It has to be 0 seconds left on the clock, and it has to be to win. No, it did not hit because there was a couple seconds left on the clock. But KJ Simpson, great shot. He ended up leading Colorado 23 points. The trend of first four teams moving on continues. It looked like it might not, but it did with Colorado moving on. Walter Clayton Jr., he had a great game for Florida. Good stuff for him. He had 33 points, valiant effort, but just came up a little bit short. Now, that FAU game we talked about, Northwestern beat FAU in overtime thanks to a Ryan Langborg Ryan Langborg legacy game. He was a transfer from Princeton, a big part of their team last year, beating Arizona, then beating Missouri, advancing to the Sweet 16. Ryan Langborg, great game in this one. He had a last-second shot to send it to overtime. Well, there was still a couple seconds left, like 10 seconds left, and John L. Davis just came down and dribbled around half court for a while and then took a fadeaway that got blocked from 30 feet. No idea what was going on there, but Northwestern ended up dominating in overtime. This is our second Final Four team from last year that we've lost. Obviously, Miami did not make the tournament. Florida Atlantic now eliminated in the first round. So that sets up a Northwestern and UConn game, which I think I'd rather play a beat up Northwestern if I'm UConn than FAU and all their talent over there. Another 9 seed that beat an 8 seed, Texas A&M beat Nebraska 98 to 83. Texas A&M probably could have scored 120 points in this one. They were just blazing hot. They just let off the gas at the end as they were just dominating Nebraska the entire way. Chippy game, by the way. Tominaga got a technical foul. A lot of talking in this one. They weren't even close. They did not match Texas A&M, though. Wade Taylor, the story, 7 of 10 from 3, led the team, 25 points. Good stuff for Wade Taylor. Texas A&M they were just better than Nebraska. That's all there is to say. A 9 seed that was favored over an 8 seed was Utah State. TCU was the 9 seed, excuse me. Utah State, the 8 seed Utah State won 88-72. Danny Sprinkle, phenomenal job this year. He's done nothing but win. They won the Mountain West, now winning a first-round game. They held TCU to just 36% shooting from the field. Ian Martinez led Utah State with 21 points. Good stuff for Danny Sprinkle's squad. Staying in the Mountain West, 11-seeded New Mexico was actually favored over 6-seeded Clemson, and Clemson just drilled them, 77-56. This was a disappointing watch. I thought this would at least be a close game. It was never even a game. It looked like New Mexico didn't want to be there. Ran through the Mountain West tournament to get in here, and they just got outplayed, outcoached, out-hustled, everything. Chase Hunter led Clemson with 21. Kind of just a disappointing. I expected more stuff from New Mexico in this one. Then 12-seeded UAB took on 5-seeded San Diego State. San Diego State won the game 69-65. It was all San Diego State for a while until it wasn't. UAB fought all the way back, took the lead in the second half, used all their energy, though. San Diego State ended up winning. Jaden Ledee just ended up being too much. He had 32 points for the All-American. Good stuff. And then a couple 4-13 games. Alabama beat Charleston 109-96, about as high scoring as we expected. Alabama had 12 people score in the game. The most was Mark Sears, 30 points. Good stuff. Duke, 64. Vermont, 47. Mark Mitchell and Jared McCain led with 15 points. Kyle Filipowski, only 3 points. Only took one shot. Did have 12 rebounds, but interesting scenario there with Kyle Filipowski. He'd only taken one shot. Duke moves on, though, and then Baylor dominated Colgate 92-67. Not the most talented Colgate team in the world. Last game we'll talk about briefly here is number 15 seed Western Kentucky took on 2 seed Marquette, and it was real interesting for a while. Western Kentucky led by 7 in the first half, but Marquette outscored them 51-26 in the second half to win the game 87-69. Cam Jones led Marquette 28 points, 5 threes. Tyler Kolek also had a double-double in his first game back. And then just going through the 1 seeds, UConn beat Stetson by 39. Houston beat Longwood by 40. Purdue beat Grambling by 28. No 16 over 1 seed upsets this year, or 15 over 2 seed upsets. Now we're going to talk about some of the double-digit upsets that we saw. I have the graphic pulled up on YouTube. Hopefully this helps a little bit. Hopefully it's up there. Biggest upset, this just broken down by Thursday and Friday. There was only eight double-digit seeds teams to win. Don't know if that's a lot. Don't know if that's not, depending on what your opinion is. Oakland, Oregon, NC State, Duquesne, Yale, James Madison, Grand Canyon, Colorado. Those are your double-digit seeds moving on to the second round. Some of the notable teams to lose: Kentucky, South Carolina, Texas Tech, BYU, Auburn, Wisconsin, St. Mary's, Florida. Especially those ones on Friday. A lot of people had Auburn, St. Mary's, and Florida all making runs. No, probably not James Madison or Wisconsin, excuse me, but Auburn, St. Mary's, and Florida, and then obviously Kentucky that first day busted a lot of brackets. But don't think a lot of people had Wisconsin, Texas Tech, South Carolina, or maybe you had BYU beating Illinois, but that's about it. So where does this leave the conferences? Where do the conference stand? We're only going to talk about the power conferences, the multi-bid conferences. The ACC 4-1, done a solid job. The Big 12 5-3. Okay, you're supposed to be the most dominant conference. Yeah, it hasn't showed yet, but 5-3, you have 5 wins. Big East is 3-0. That's because they only have 3 teams, and their 3 teams are top 3 seeds: UConn, Marquette, and Creighton. Big 10 4-2, showing pretty well. The Pac-12. This is the surprising one. 5-0. 5-0 for the Pac-12. Colorado's obviously won 2 games. Arizona, Oregon, and Washington State all won 5-0. The Pac-12 is yet to lose. Last season for the Pac-12, good stuff there. The SEC is 3-5. Yes, 3-5. Everyone's like, yeah, the SEC can match up with the Big 12. They're only 2 games back, but yeah, you lost 2 of your best teams. So the SEC, rough stuff. Mountain West is 3-4, thanks to Utah State and San Diego State. So that's some of the conference breakdowns right there. Hopefully, these numbers will obviously continue to grow or go down, but Pac-12 been the best conference so far. Who would have thought? Next, we're going to get into some of the games to watch and some of the betting lines that have already opened up. But first, I want to give a quick shout out to Fanatics, our proud sponsor. They have the best apparel for your team in March. They have hoodies, t-shirts, memorabilia, whatever you want for your college team. Stock up for March. If your team's still in, go support them. Go join them. Get some apparel. The link is in the description. You can get free shipping right now with code 24SHIP. The shirt I'm wearing right here is Fanatics brand. They come up with their own brand. They also have Nike stuff, Adidas stuff, whatever you want. But they also come up with their own brand at a little cheaper pricey. This is a nice looking shirt for my Jayhawks fans out there. But you can get free shipping. Once again, code 24SHIP. Fanatics. They have great customer service. They deliver quickly. It's a very easy to use website. They're always offering deals. I really encourage you to go check it out. One more time, link in description. Go check it out. Buy your March Madness apparel. Moving on, let's talk about the games to watch. We're only going to talk about Saturday and Sunday because those are the only 2 games only 2 days left we have in this first weekend. Saturday, starting at 12:45, that is today. I'm recording this early on Saturday morning. Dayton, the 7 seed, takes on the 2 seed Arizona at 12:45 on CBS. Arizona is favored by 9.5 in this game. We have seen Arizona struggle against teams that can really make the 3. Dayton is one of those teams. They're one of the best 3-point shooting teams in the country. I think Dayton covers 9.5 in this one. We saw Arizona struggle with Stanford, who lit them up from behind the arc. I think they cover 9.5. Not saying they're going to win. Also not saying it's a bad bet to take Dayton to win this game. Just going to say that. I'll take Dayton to cover 9.5 in this one, though. Then at 3:15 on CBS, the game following that one, 5 seed Gonzaga takes on 4 seed Kansas. Gonzaga favored by 4.5. This is going to be a fun game to watch. Mark Few versus Bill Self, 2 of the best coaches in college basketball, if not the 2 best coaches in college basketball. Gonzaga is favored by 4.5 just because of Kevin McCullough obviously being out. I will take Gonzaga to cover 4.5. Kansas, Gonzaga might force 30 turnovers from Elmarco Jackson alone. Sorry, wearing the shirt, just talked you up, but I'm taking Gonzaga in this one. I think Gonzaga gets the job done. At 5:30 on CBS following the Kansas-Gonzaga game, Michigan State in the 1 seed, North Carolina, Michigan State being the 9 seed. North Carolina only favored by 3.5. Thought that was an interesting line. Michigan State, a lot of people said they didn't deserve to be in the tournament. Yet, I mean, obviously it's Tom Izzo. They got more talent than a lot of teams. But North Carolina minus 3.5, that's not enough points. North Carolina's proven this year. Michigan State is not. Michigan State is, what are they, 20-14 overall now? North Carolina, they're a 1 seed. I'm taking North Carolina. I think it's the better bet. I understand if you think Michigan State has the talent to match up with them. I think North Carolina gets the job done, though. At 6:10 on TNT, so this is where you'll have to get that split screen out because that Michigan State North Carolina game will be going on at 5:30. This Washington State Iowa State game will be on at 6:10 on TNT. Washington State being the 7 seed, Iowa State being the 2 seed. Iowa State favored by 6.5. Washington State kind of has the firepower to match Iowa State. They got speed, they got size. I think I'm going to take Washington State to cover 6.5 in this one, but I wouldn't, like, quite frankly, like, it's nowhere near a lock. I wouldn't encourage it, but I like the Miles Rice story. I like Kyle Smith. I think they're playing for a lot right now. Iowa State, they're obviously great, but I think I'm going to take Washington State just on a gut feeling in this one to cover 6.5. At 7:10, third game you're going to have up on your TV, Oakland taking on NC State. 14 seed Oakland, 11 seed NC State. This game's at 7:10 on TBS. NC State favored by 6.5. Here's a question. If Oakland and NC State were playing each other in the regular season, would this game even be on ESPN Plus? Probably not. Probably not, but that's the beauty of March Madness. You get these Cinderella teams. 14 seeded Oakland, 11 seeded NC State. I think I'll take NC State to cover 6.5. Unfortunately, Oakland, I mean, NC State has something to work on now. They saw the scouting report. You just got a face guard goalkeeper. You got Trey Townsend, who DJ Horn could lock up. I think I'll take NC State to keep rolling and cover 6.5 in this one. At 8 o'clock on CBS, Texas takes on Tennessee. Yes, Rick Barnes versus Texas. This will be a fun watch. Tennessee favored by 6.5. I'm going to take Texas in this one to cover 6.5. Not too confidently, though. Thought about this game a lot. I actually took Texas to beat Tennessee in my bracket, so we'll see. I'm going to take Texas to cover 6.5 in this one. At 8:40 on TNT, 11-seeded Duquesne takes on 3-seeded Illinois. Illinois favored by 10.5. Duquesne, Keith Damrot. I think this is where it ends. Not sure. 10.5 is an interesting number. I'd probably stay away from this game because that's big for a second round game. But especially Duquesne, Day Grant versus Terrence Shannon. Stay away from this game. I think Illinois wins. Don't know if they cover 10.5 though. At 9:40, I think this is going to be my favorite game of the day. 11-seeded Oregon takes on 3-seeded Creighton. This game's at 9:40 on TBS. Creighton is favored by 5.5. I think the winner of this game, not to get ahead of myself, I know it's only the round of 32. I think the winner of this game is going to advance to the Elite Eight. I'm very confident in it. 7-footer and N'Faly Dante, 7-footer Ryan Kalkbrenner. Can Jermaine Couisnard knock down as many shots as he did in the last game? That's going to be the story in this one. We've seen Creighton's defense struggle a tiny bit against really fire-powered offenses. I think I'm going to take Oregon plus 5.5 in this game because I think it's a 50-50 game. Quite frankly, it's just a rough draw for Creighton. I wish they didn't have to play Oregon because I really like Creighton. I really like Oregon. I wish they didn't have to play Creighton. So this is going to be a very, very fun game to watch. I'm going to take Oregon just because they have some points to play with a little bit. Moving on to Sunday. That's all the games for Saturday. Sunday's early start times are moved up like 30 minutes. I'm not sure for what reason. Obviously, I think CBS must have something going on Sunday night. But the first game is 10-seeded Colorado taking on 2-seeded Marquette. The game's at 12:10 on CBS. Marquette favored by 3.5. I have Colorado beating Marquette in my bracket. Don't know if I'm confident in it, but I'm going to take it just for the wild ride. I think Colorado has, they scored 102 points on Florida. Florida's defense is bad. Marquette was down to Western Kentucky. That's why this line is so low, because Marquette struggled with Western Kentucky. It's either a Marquette minus 3.5 or a Colorado money line bet. I'm going to take Colorado just because I want to. Wouldn't recommend betting that game though, unless you feel fully confident in one way or the other. At 2:40 on CBS, the game following, 8-seed Utah State and Danny Sprinkle take on the 1-seeded Purdue. Purdue favored by 10.5. I will take Purdue to cover 10.5. I think they got those first-round jitters out of the way, and they are going to start dominating. Give me Purdue. At 5:15 on CBS, 12-seeded James Madison taking on 4-seeded Duke. Duke favored by 6.5. James Madison money line. Give me James Madison to win this game. Duke does not perform in big games. Kyle Filipowski just scored 3 points. James Madison is a good basketball team. They have 32 wins. James Madison outright. I'm taking them. At 6:10 on TNT, 6-seeded Clemson takes on 3-seeded Baylor. Baylor favored by 4.5. That is not enough points. Baylor's talent outmatches Clemson. I don't think Baylor is like the best team in the world, but I think Baylor can definitely beat Clemson by 4.5. I'll take Baylor in that one. At 7:10 on TBS, 12-seeded Grand Canyon takes on 4-seeded Alabama. Alabama favored by 6.5. In that game, Alabama's offense, Tyon Grant-Foster for Grand Canyon. I think Alabama just I never recommend betting Alabama or Texas A&M games because you just don't know what you're going to get from them. If Alabama goes cold for one game, they're screwed. They usually don't, is the thing. So we'll see about that one. I'll probably take Alabama to cover 6.5. Not too confidently though. I could see Grand Canyon winning the game. Moving on at 7:45 on True TV. Number 9 Northwestern takes on number 1 UConn. UConn is favored by 14.5. That is insane for a round of 32 game. That just shows how good Dan Hurley's squad is. That's a lot of points, but when it's that many points, I would just stay away from it. That shows UConn is that dominant. Northwestern is banged up, but Northwestern, Ryan Langborg, he had that incredible game. I'd stay away from it. Obviously, I think UConn's going to win. 14.5. Wow, that's a lot of points. Moving on, 9-seeded Texas A&M taking on 1-seeded Houston. They played earlier in the year. Houston won by 6. I remember Wade Taylor just went off in the second half. This game's at 8:40 on TNT. Houston is favored by 9.5. This is going to be a game to watch. I would watch out for Texas A&M just because of their upside if Wade Taylor or Tyrese Radford are hitting shots. I think Texas A&M covers 9.5, but I think Houston wins. Not too confident in the line. That's going to be a fun watch, though. Then at 9:40 on TBS, 13-seeded Yale takes on 5-seeded San Diego State. San Diego State favored by 6. Last game of the second round. Yale, very special stuff. San Diego State, Jaden Ledee. I think Yale can cover 6 in this game. I think Yale's better than UAB, and UAB hung with San Diego State. I think Yale can cover 6. I'll take Yale to win to cover 6 points in that one. That's all the games to watch. That's going to be it for the entire show. Hopefully you guys enjoyed, got a little sense of where the lines are, where you might want to bet, what you might not want to bet. It's going to be exciting. Hopefully your brackets aren't too busted. Stay invested. There's still bets to be made. Bet responsibly, but there's money to be made. There's great games out there. Cinderella teams are going. If your bracket's busted, root for Yale, root for Oakland, get them on a run. If NC State beats Oakland, root for NC State. It's still March Madness. It's still really exciting. It's the weekend. Turn on your TV, order a pizza, watch these games. It's going to be fun stuff. Before I lose you, please go down, hit the like button, hit the subscribe button too so you're updated at all times. Give us a follow on Apple Podcasts and Spotify. If you're on Apple or Spotify, switch to YouTube. Give us a subscribe. Comment. Let us know. Let us know who you're taking in some of these games. You have a different opinion on who you're taking. Let us know. We'll see how it goes. Follow us on Instagram, Twitter, or TikTok, or all 3. We would really appreciate that. That's at Bracket Science with 2 S's. If you enjoyed these graphics, if you're watching on YouTube, we post all of those on Instagram, on TikTok, on Twitter. These are some of the graphics we use. It's really fun. We love interacting with the community. So come check us out. Really appreciate it. Everyone have a great rest of their weekend. See you later.